Before we begin, it's that time. Sponsor mentions. Untapped maple, you guys. Pure energy, clean from the pure source of Vermont. Maple syrup.
So good.
Maple. I wish I could start over, but I can't. Super easy to digest, super quick to get into the tank. Trying the individual packets, which a lot of you guys do, or the new dispenser bottles to save on packaging. I have one of those. It's kind of cool. You squeeze it and watch it go up the hose, and then it goes into the little measuring thing. It's kind of cool. I don't know. I like the little
bleeding disc brakes, right?
Yeah, yeah. And I have a reusable flask that came from them, and that'll hold up to 5 servings. So it's actually pretty cool.
Would all just be one hit for me. I just want an IV of that stuff.
Use the link at Pack Filler. Next off, Mojo Cyclery and Reynolds Wheels. Well, this time, people, that's right. Jackson is our first believer in the magic of Reynolds. We have quite a few guys on Reynolds. I think I say that every week. And big thanks to Mojo and Reynolds for taking care of us. They are Spokane's home for gravel. They do so much more. Head over to mojocyclery.com. Do the right thing and visit them at Spokane Valley at 1405 North Argonne. Your brother was saying that basically you can just trash your Reynolds wheels and they'll replace them. Really?
Yep. Lifetime warranty.
I thought somebody was going to say, like, no, come on. Yeah, you can't just go, riding your road bike off loading docks and expect them to replace your wheels.
Mm-hmm.
Really?
Take them down a flight of stairs. Try it.
I've got the flyer at home.
Yep.
Uh-huh.
It's awesome. I mean, that's why you pay the price that you pay, right? Like, it's because of Lifetime. They're killer wheels. They are killer wheels.
Pack Filler Productions does not recommend you actually right downstairs. Fuel stands for human fuel, and that it is among their amazing selections of real food. The Black Edition Shake, 40 grams of protein per meal. It's super convenient, super tasty. I have the chocolate. Paul has the
salted caramel,
and you've been enjoying it.
Yep. I use it for after rides.
I was waiting for you to poo-poo it, but you didn't poo-poo
I did. In fact, I will be getting more and more.
Well, there we go.
Yeah. I don't mind, even though it's vegan.
I don't think he's going to eat meat.
I wish you'd pronounce it vegan or something.
Vegan?
Yeah, it'd make me...
Vegan. Where you into them vegans?
Real ingredients like coconut, sunflower seeds, brown rice, and flax seeds. It is my go-to morning fuel. Just $2.50 per meal is how it equates out to. So be sure to get to Pack Filler and use the link today. Not only support the show, but grab a great tasting, affordable meals. Trust me, Huel.com/Pack Filler. Do you have to say / or / anymore? Probably not. I don't know. Do people? I think
Who does a backslash?
Yeah.
Some animal.
OJ.
Yeah.
That's a really old joke.
That is a good one, though.
Yeah. That's really like ancient. It was the first, killer that popped into my head.
Mm-hmm.
I'm just letting the theme play.
God, we're back.
Wow.
And David's not here. So
yeah, so we're gonna bash him tonight.
Yeah.
I think
It's
the elf
easy.
on the shelf comment a couple weeks ago was actually the ultimate.
Yeah.
Where
That
Jackson
was the
did the voice.
That was the peak.
Well, it happened. This is why we can't say nice things anymore, people. And this is why we can't have nice things anymore. I'm officially burned out on the word gravel. I am officially. I think it's because of Unbound, but I'm seeing the word in everywhere. It is being used too much. I love riding it, but is now being used more often than literally. And it's being used more often than the amount of IPAs offered in local pubs. Time for a new term. Can we just say dirt road riding, please? I know it's longer. Dirt road? No? I'm getting blank stares across the
gravel privateer.
Grode riding.
Grode. I'd take. We use words too much, and this is the case. So let's get to Life on Two Wheels. Let's get to the Pack Filler podcast. I'm Pat Bulger. Let's say hello to tonight's panel of pundits on pedaling. Yeah, I came up with that all by myself.
Wow.
Tonight's question, everybody: who is the most embarrassing person you have ever had a crush on? Probably a celebrity, I would assume. You don't want to say the woman I married, because that would probably get you in a lot of trouble. So, do you guys, you got it already?
Yeah.
Okay, I do too. I thought of it immediately. The question came up. So, first of all, he's got a new bike, Mr. Paul Main. How are you, man?
Wow.
All right. Yeah.
I saw it.
Yeah.
I saw the new bike.
Yeah.
His commuter, belt driven.
Mm-hmm.
It's kind of like urban assault looking.
Yeah. It's black. The color you don't like on
No,
bikes.
it is
hates
flat
black
black.
bikes.
It is flat black.
Yeah.
Yeah, and but it's a commuter, so I'll allow it. I'll
Thank
I'll
you.
allow it. You are fine this time.
I have some salad in my teeth. Anyway,
Do you?
okay.
No, you're
No,
clean.
you're good. Yeah,
Feels like something's in there.
doesn't look like it.
I feel like I've been chasing something around too.
No,
Chasing
by the
something?
taste of it,
Oh God, that sound! I'm sure the people listening at home because I record in the
Yeah,
hideout
that's why
I
just
did
got
it.
that slurring sound.
it was a scallion.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay.
All right.
We got it.
Who'd you have a crush on?
This is embarrassing.
Yeah,
Betty
This is
Rebel.
what is- Who?
Betty Rebel.
Wow.
And from
Two of
that
these
point
guys
on,
have no idea who
no
you're talking
clue.
about.
No.
the Flintstones. You,
So
you ever watch
old.
the
Oh
Flintstones?
my God! I
Yeah,
know what
the
you're talking about
Flintstones,
now.
yeah.
Yeah. Have you ever seen the Flintstones?
Barney was a lucky guy.
Barney was.
And it must have started there because I dated only dark-haired women after that. I
Really?
actually launched it. Yeah.
It was Betty Rebel's fault.
Betty Rebel.
There you go.
Yeah.
Wow.
What an actress. God, she was good.
Played by Rosie O'Donnell in the movie.
I'm
Might
glad
have
I
been a
never saw the
miscast.
movie
Might have
because
been
it
a
was
miscast.
shattered.
Yeah, exactly.
No.
Next off, he's got free range to bash his brother, Mr. Samuel Waples. How are you, man?
I'm doing well.
Yeah.
Brother's not here, so
Yeah.
it's a good night.
Freedom.
Yep.
Yeah.
Man, I really don't think I have any embarrassing crushes. I cannot. No, I have super embarrassing like TV shows, things like that I love.
No, like
but,
childhood, like, oh my gosh, I am in love with Betty White.
Betty
or
Crocker.
anything. Betty
I don't
Crocker.
know.
Yeah, yeah.
No,
Britney
honest-
Spears.
No,
No?
never liked Britney Spears. Like
She's
truly,
blonde.
the one that I can, I've always had a crush on Emma Watson and Natalie Portman, right? Like
Those are great choices.
Those are great choices.
choices, yeah.
in my wife.
Oh,
Right.
nicely
Of
done.
course.
Nicely
Good
done.
call. Yeah.
Well, that's a big old. That's.
I know.
Thanks,
I
Sam.
don't have anything. I'm
Yeah.
awesome.
Thanks a lot, man.
Yeah.
Next, he's got road rash. Actually, he doesn't that much anymore, Mr.
Not
Jackson
that
Bolger.
much, yeah.
How you feeling, dude?
Good.
We'll
Way
get into
better.
the story.
Yeah. Let's see. Embarrassing crushes. I think I'm also like Sam. I don't think I had really any
We only
embarrassing
love
crushes.
amazing women.
Kids these
I mean,
days.
if we're gonna be honest, like Lois Griffin, we all know is like is
That's
is an
embarrassing
attra-
because I have nothing. You're another cartoon.
Well, I mean, I think as
Lois Griffin.
I think
The
as
mom on Family Guy.
I think as embarrassing, like
Just her.
but it's like I didn't even know.
Nasally
Like
voice.
Yeah, it's terrible.
I didn't really have any
Wow.
embarrassing crushes.
God, yeah, that's. I don't know. I'll send it out there if I do, but I can't think of any.
You guys are lame.
Yeah.
Yeah. You notice all
Well,
of
I'm
them.
looking pretty stupid.
No, I haven't gone yet,
Oh.
and my wife can back up mine. Me, you notice everything was he's got a new bike, he's got free range, he's got road rash. Me, I've got an ejection fraction of 55%. God
Yeah,
Yes, you do.
damn it! And if you don't know what that means heart is normal. No, low end of normal, but I'll take it. You know, personally, I'm just like, I'm lying there at night,
You know
punching
what?
myself in the chest, going, "Do better."
In
Like a
America,
really pressuring
you're
dad.
above normal.
Really?
Yeah, America's got some terrible
Cardiologist offices are really depressing places to be.
Yeah,
You see a lot of really unhealthy people in a
Yup.
cardiologist's office. It's
that's what I'm
it's
saying.
like,
You're
wow.
above average.
Just
Don't look at the whole world.
A lot of grasping for breath, a lot of things like that. It's. Oof. And I got another test on next Wednesday. So I guess they're gonna do the whole inject me with dye, and I gotta
All of it.
lie there and make sure my veins are doing what they're supposed to be doing. But anyway, I'm Pat Bolger, and I actually had a. Let me explain myself. I had a crush on, and this is in the early 1990s, on Ellen DeGeneres.
That's rough. That's rough.
Wow.
Yeah, that wasn't going to work out.
No,
And this was back before she came out, and stuff like that. And I've always had a thing for funny women. You got to have a major sense of humor, and so I
Why not Julie Louis Dreyfus or something?
I did her too.
Oh, okay.
Literally
You did-
anybody
You
else.
did her?
What?
You
I did.
did her?
Oh yeah.
Oh.
I did have a crush on her
Okay.
too. Yeah, Julia
Like,
Louis
wait,
Dreyfus.
wait a
Yeah,
minute,
I still would say I have a crush on Julia Louis Dreyfus. She's awesome. She's cool.
Yeah, she's
But
funny.
you guys are so old. I don't know what that is.
You're not
Ellen, I
surprising
do
me
know.
with that statement.
Yeah.
I'm quite aware
Yeah.
how old I am.
Exactly. Yeah.
I got skin that doesn't retract. It's just like
It's just
it
hanging.
flops.
It flops.
It does. And I'm descending, and I've got like I got
does
flush
not move.
curtains.
It does not move.
You know how like they've
In the wind.
formed
Yes, it
that
does.
like
I'll
You're
show you.
shitting me.
No, I'll show you. Next time we descend over 40 miles an hour,
you know
you'll
they
see the.
they formed that like teardrop arrow profile design,
Uh-huh.
right? So it's like rounded in the front. Then
Yeah.
it comes, that's
That's
based
what's
off
happening.
of your arms.
Yeah, I got flesh curtains now.
Nice. Going faster that way.
That's right.
Like seafarings.
Let's do some catching up. Oh, that's a visual. Here I am on the beach. We have a family photo. Notice the blur of my upper arm. There was a breeze. They caught me mid-flap.
On the bright side, you can go full flying squirrel if you jump off a high building.
I'll give it a try. I'll tell you how it works out.
I can see my house from here.
I can make it.
It'd be pretty cool though.
Yeah.
It's not Spider-Man. Geriatric man. Let's do some catching up, shall we? Jackson wasn't here last week, and the week prior provided a reason why he wasn't here last week. Jackson, time to put you on the spot. Why weren't you here, and why haven't you been on your road bike for 2 weeks?
Well, yeah. So we were racing 2 weeks ago. I don't know.
Thursday. Yep.
Yeah, and there was a crash. There was a big crash for me and only me.
Yeah.
But it was one of those situations where I found out after it had all happened that one guy's disc brake rotor had touched the rear cogs of somebody in front of him, and I'm not kidding when I saw it. Do you understand?
Cross-wheeling.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I'm just
So his front wheel-
I'm visual. I'm a visual learner.
Yeah,
Quit-
yeah.
I count with
Just
my
for the
fingers
people
too.
out there that,
Yeah.
cross-wheeling significantly.
Yeah.
And so it sent this guy, I'd say his front wheel was probably 3-4 feet off the air or off the ground, and everybody else went whoa, 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 and I also went whoa, but everybody else came over to me and just swept my front wheel. It was nobody's fault. I mean, just crazy stuff happens. But then I began to go left, and I stuck my left foot out, and I thought I could save it. But then in that moment, my brain went, these are carbon soles on concrete going 25 miles an hour. No way are you going to do it. And I also, a little bit of me was like, okay, shoe preservation, which is terrible.
Absolutely not. No, I agree 100%. Carbon, skin heals. Carbon doesn't.
Well, I know. That's the really terrible
there's
thing.
a time in which that changes, and I'm in that time.
Yes.
I will shred 10 pairs of $400 cleats before I hit the pavement.
You're serious.
No, I'm serious.
I'd
Yeah.
grease it out and take one for the team. I would just be like, I'm going to be picking scabs.
Well, we have been, because
Yeah.
after the shoe had taken that, I began to grab brake, but then that sent me over the right side because as I realized, oh, the shoe's done, I don't want to crash anybody else. So if I begin to brake, then I'll just stop and everybody else will have gone around me. Yeah. And that is what happened, luckily. But that sent me, I don't really know what happened because I did hit my head.
Yeah.
Pretty quick, like pretty hard. And the helmet's done. Shout out to Pac.
Yep. That's that one.
It was pretty minimal damage. If we need to post some sort of Pac picture of what the helmet looks like, I
Post
can.
a Pac picture.
Yeah, exactly. And then I just remember I was on my back and the right side of me hurt really bad, and I knew that it was not terrible, but I knew that I hit my head because instantly I was in the fetal position, and then I opened my eyes and went, oh man, I hit my head. I said it out loud, I remember. I was pretty aware. I was pretty with it. And instantly I wanted to stand up, but then there was a firefighter, there was a doctor, there was a Sam who was a...
There was a Sam.
Yeah. And they were all saying, no, stay where you are.
A bunch of healthcare.
Literally the whole hospital was there. My fiance, a nurse, was there. Sam's wife,
David's wife, a
doctor, but also Sam's wife was there as well, who
OT.
deals. Yeah,
we have it all.
And then a neurologist came up to me
Yep.
after the fact, and all of these healthcare professionals came up to me and talked to me. But yeah, I walked away with no broken bones, thank God. A mild concussion, and my bars are done for, as we have been figuring out. Sam and I have been. And then, but other than that, wheels stayed the same. Wheels are fine.
Mm-hmm.
Can't believe that. I thought I would have blown those wheels.
This is why they're a forever warranty.
Yeah.
You can't break them.
The tire did. I've never seen a tire shred the way this one did. The sidewall was just destroyed.
How fast were you going?
We were going 25 miles an hour, and then the skin
0
suit.
miles an hour.
Yeah, the skin suit's done. It's done for. And the helmet
I've
is
always found a little cheek to be kind of,
a little tasteful.
teasing. Yeah.
Oh, were you a little assless chaps kind of a thing going on?
Luckily, no. It's just the shoulder that's pretty torn. But yeah, I mean, I can race. I'm going to race this Thursday.
Yeah.
So I can and I will. But
not on your bike, as we
Not
were
on
saying
my
before
bike,
we went
yes.
on air. Yeah, you
Yeah.
still got to get the...
Third option I just thought of.
What's that?
You know how Phil Guyman cut the bars to like save weight a while ago? You guys remember that? Cut the drops? Let's just cut the drops of
yeah,
those
because
things.
the
Just racing
drops
the
are.
hoods.
I've never
Drops
seen.
was toasted. You're only going to have hoods.
Yeah, there we go.
It's total low and arrow.
Save
man.
weight.
Yeah.
But I've never seen carbon just shred like that. It
Yeah.
didn't crack. It didn't break off. It was just like
The
torn.
webbing.
Yeah,
Oh my God.
it's pretty crazy. But as long as the frame didn't break, that's what I was happy with. Because I stood up and instantly went, "How are the wheels?" And David was like,
Yeah.
"Don't worry about the wheels." And I went, "No, I spent too much on the wheels. How are they?"
Sam, you were in that race, so I spoke to somebody else who was in that race who was saying that afterwards there was a completely different feel, and the reaction of the riders within the pack was very it was very across the board. I don't want to bash any individual riders or anything like that, but there were some reactions that of people who were not used to being in a mass start race where crashes happen. And there were very varied reactions in terms of how people behaved themselves afterwards. Did you notice anything like that?
I mean, I just noticed that everybody was super skittish.
Yeah.
Like the whole time after that. And I think it's just because we've talked wasn't that like the Tuesday before that race or something that I was talking about how this is what happens when you put that large of a category difference in one field?
Yeah.
Is like you got people who are Cat 4s and people who are Cat 1s racing together, and it's like, man, I can keep throttling it the whole day. And you have these people that are just twitchy and nervy, and it's like then they see something like that and then the whole field is just like on edge. And I'm like, guys, we got like how wide is that track? Like 30 feet?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
30-foot wide track?
It's huge. Yeah.
There's no need for us to be overlapping wheels.
Yeah.
So, but no, it was very different. There was a lot of people that came and asked, how he was doing, and then other people that had no clue, which is starting.
Really?
Wow,
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
Just because they were ahead?
I think they were
when it
ahead of
happened,
it.
Or?
Yeah.
Okay. With this race series being categorized, it's not classic USAC categorization. It's A, B, C, and D. A's being predominantly 3s, 2s, and 1s. B's being
3, 4,
3, 4.
and that's an overlap each way. But yeah.
Yeah. And so on and so forth. Is it being judgmental to say that? I mean, how do you do that? How do you decide if somebody comes up and says, "I want to race A pack"? How do you look at them and say, "Well, what are your skill set? Well, have you earned the ability to ride in that field?" Or I don't want to again turn it into even more roadie elitism, but
I really don't feel like, maybe I'm remembering this wrong, but I really thought back in previous that you had to be a 3 to be racing in the A's. Am I remembering that wrong? Because I remember wanting to get up to the A's really bad.
yeah.
I
But
vaguely
doesn't- like,
remember
it's-
that, but
it's-
I think due to lack of volume of people,
Yeah, it
I
has
think
to be
that's-
that way.
That's like
And there's a-
those try guys,
Yep.
they'll probably never upgrade.
No.
So
They're
the
Cat
unfortunate
4s
thing is,
for
yeah,
sure, if not Cat
and
5s.
they were, in my opinion, in the cornering, like one of the worst people to be around.
Yeah.
So,
But
but the thing is,
they've got the strength to be Cat
exactly.
1s. They're
So they would be
flying.
totally waste of time and money for them to go and do B races,
Yeah.
and they'll never upgrade. So
Yeah.
I think it's fair to allow that. At some point, even, I mean, the days of like we were talking about on our ride coming back, you and David and I last weekend. I mean, the opening crit over in Seattle was Volunteer Park, and there was 2 Cat 4s. It filled up. You had to register early. 75 people, so 150 Cat 4s.
Wow.
And that's how you had to upgrade.
Yep.
So it took a while for you to do that if you weren't, if you're mediocre. And same with juniors. You had junior races, those guys had to put in like months of ahead. It was kind of like Leadville. You were in a lottery.
You're in a lottery
Somebody,
of some sort,
that's how it used to be. But now it's like, what do we tell these guys that are strong that can win our race? You can't come because you don't have the skill.
Yeah.
It's it's a training race. This is how they learn. So, I don't.
No, totally. I mean, it just sucks. Like
it's an unfortunate thing.
It just is what it is. Crashes are gonna happen. Yeah. I've always thought it's silly that we have crashes at SCR. It bends my mind. Like, or Calypsy. We should start calling it what it is. But yeah, like, I think it is. He's totally right. It's just a part of racing now, like in the road category.
Now, when you talk about half wheeling, I mean, you've got a pack dynamic where you've got riders, swelling and and thinning out and things like that. What do you classify as pack riding versus half wheeling?
I don't think that changes. I'm pretty firm on that. I don't think half wheeling changes whether you're in a pack or in a like couple of people pace line. Like, I think half wheeling is half wheeling, and I think you can do it, but if you crash, it's on you. Or if you cause a crash, it's on you. Because, like, if you're having to save it because the person in front of you swept over in front of you and took your wheel out, then, like, yeah, that's on you.
So is there any? Please don't name.
But what
any
about
names.
what about an echelon? Was there a crosswind? Is that why he was in that position?
So I was taking into effect the fact that there was a crosswind at the time. However, the guy in front of me was not. I don't know because I didn't really. I closed my eyes for a lot.
Jesus, take the wheel.
In that situation, there was nothing else. But I don't think the guy in front of me was the one that swept me. I didn't see it all, but I was taking into effect the wind, and I think that might have
been the cross. So where they
it could have been. I don't know. Yeah.
Which would make sense for that disc brake to hit. I mean, that's such a tremendous amount. Nobody normally just rides right there unless there's a crosswind, and that. Stupid disc brakes.
I was going to say, Paul. Now we have another reason to blame disc brakes.
For
the
it was
fall
interesting.
Of man,
I listened to
fall of
Escape Collective
Yeah.
and Rowan, who's part of the Geeks. They have like a geek
Yeah.
one for technical, and he's a technical guy. He still races, and he said I did my first big, and he's a pro rank racer, 175 guys in their field, and he goes, I'm going to say something that's not going to be popular, but I don't think disc brakes need to be in a race situation because they grab so much. He goes, I see people, even good riders, I'm paraphrasing, but and that just creates this massive reaction. Somebody moves a little bit, you can, and then it just multiplies.
Well, it's just like,
And he goes, obviously wet carbon wheels are not a good thing either, but, and I've seen that. I've seen people just like all of a sudden, even in the Tuesday night, they hit the binders and it's like, whoa, where'd you go?
Yeah.
I mean, it's crazy. But I think it's got to be a learning curve, to be honest with you. They're not going to go away.
It's like Maverick.
But
he's going to hit the brakes, fly right by.
Yeah.
Hit the brakes.
What's
fly
that
right
one
by.
Stupid
called?
scene.
It's
You
called
can't do
something. Yeah, you can.
that. No. Not the
Yeah,
way he
huh?
says.
Tom Cruise
there's
did.
No.
Tom Cruise did it.
Okay.
No, it's not Tom Cruise. Maverick did it.
Yeah.
You're
Ja-
really good at yawning silently, by the way.
Am I yawning?
Yeah, you did like a.
Jackson, talk to me about coming back from a crash. Now, we obviously understand the financial obligations that are inherently absolute bullshit, in my opinion. The fact that you can't go into your basement anymore and go, oh, we got a second set of bars, we got another stem, it's all universal, just slap it together and let's go ride our bikes. That is
Done.
lunacy. It is lunacy that our sport has gotten to that point. But I do want to ask you about the mental elements. I mean, you've gone with road rash recovery, which thank God is not that bad. We've all dealt with road rash. You had a head injury, which is we only have so many of those. We do. You get so many concussions and you're eating through a straw and beating your wife like all those pro football players. Sorry, was that over the top?
CTE.
Yeah.
That's what it's called. Yeah, that thing.
Yeah.
CTE. Yeah.
And then there's the emotional element of getting back on the bike and being aggressive again. Do you see anything like that? Is there any hesitance, or are you just like, let's rock?
Because we were also talking a couple weeks ago how you were, like more than happy to shoot a gap because you hadn't had anything.
Yeah, I mean,
that's changed.
Has it though?
Yeah, that's the question.
You'll find
That's
out
the
Thursday,
question,
right?
Yeah, I think that to begin like coming back from it, like the couple of days after were really tough. I couldn't really use like the right side of my body at all. So that was like a bit of a challenge, and even like realizing that I have to be in pain, like not just like on the surface skin pain, but also like pretty heavy muscular pain.
Yeah.
I had really
joint.
Yeah, I had really like tough focus issues. I couldn't really like stay locked in on anything for too long. And just like stuff like that it's been kind of hard. You fall into, I think depression's a bit of a heavy word, but you fall into like a slump, I guess you could say.
Yeah.
Just realizing that like you just gotta tough it out, which sucks. But then there's also, I'm the type of person that just like, I want to get back out to just get back into that normal way of doing things anymore. I mean, I'm gonna, pretty.
Sam poured himself a good beer. Look who's all grown up.
But I mean, I'm gonna stay confident. I'm gonna try and just race how I always do. But like I said earlier, stuff happens. I really want to thank everybody who reached out, who said, "Are you okay?" Came up afterwards. I mean, we've got a great community here, and I don't think that should be taken for granted. So thanks to everyone. We'll race on Thursday, and we'll see how that goes. But I'm still willing to shoot a gap to win.
Heck yeah.
Good man.
On somebody else's bike.
Yeah.
Hey,
Sorry about that, Sam.
I challenge him.
Whoops.
Yeah.
I challenge him.
Is the frame built by Reynolds?
Yeah. I'm like, you know what? I've been eyeing a new gravel bike.
So 3 of us racing Thursday? For sure.
I think David's done for the season because he's on nights for the rest of the month.
So who's not racing in this race?
There's probably a good chance I won't.
Okay.
Yeah.
How'd everybody's rest of their riding week go?
I'm not gonna. There's no point in asking.
No,
you.
you did. You got a gravel ride then yesterday, didn't you? No, you didn't.
No.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Fail.
Yeah. So I'm just.
Yeah, I mean, I realized because I just got back to town last night, but I was thinking like, man, I did a lot. I'm feeling pretty tired, and I did close to 200 miles, which for me it's like you can obviously just hop on your bike and pedal 200 miles throughout a week, and that's not an easy achievement.
That's
but
a lot.
With a full-time job, and like I'm doing hardcore intervals, so I'm not doing like 200 soft pedal miles. Like I'm ripping for.
Wow.
So I was hurting.
And so you didn't do anything over the weekend. You
I
went bike free?
I did Saturday like a hard 40 miles and Sunday a hard 40 miles. Jeez. And then took yesterday off because I was like, whoa, I'm cooked.
Yeah.
But yeah, last week got in like 190.
Good.
Then this weekend's the trip to Wallace.
What now? Remind me and the rest of the people listening to this podcast what the trip to Wallace.
Yeah. So one of the friend that does stupid things with me, the one in Bellingham, he's coming to visit, and we're gonna ride it's somewhere between 110 and 120 miles of gravel and pavement out to Wallace.
That word again.
I know. Choppy roads,
yes,
and
thank you.
Smooth roads,
yes, with small rocks,
very small
little rocks.
But yeah, we're gonna do that out and then stay the night out there, and hotel motel.
Oh,
Holiday
okay.
Inn.
So you're roadie.
Yeah. Oh God.
Privateering.
I'm not to that level. I don't think I ever will be.
Come on.
I'm a glamper.
Okay.
Yeah, because then I have to do that same big day back the next day. You ride back to back over centuries and then tell me.
Okay.
If you do that in a weekend,
Yeah.
then
what? Then what?
you can talk shit.
Okay. Doing it. Gonna do it. Oh, I can't. You have my luggage.
It's good. It's a good point. I do.
Well, that'll
give
be
it
cool.
back
Man.
next
That'll
week.
be cool. I might want to. I think feedback on that would be kind of cool.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Paul, how'd your week go?
Let's see here. So Memorial Day weekend that was last weekend before, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So you, David, and I
Yeah.
rode. We did 4 mounds. We were on a short leash, all of us.
Yeah.
I think.
But a short leash is still 50. I got like 52 miles in. That's not super short.
That's great.
Yeah.
That's all you need to do.
With like 3,000 plus feet of climbing.
Mm-hmm. And then the next day I just went out and rode out towards Cheney and
You did?
yeah, just a tempo ride.
Oh, okay. I did 4 rides last week.
Nice.
And yes, I need to mention it because it's not. I swear I don't like talking about myself. I've been getting out. I'm AFib free. I had a check last Friday, and everything seems to be looking a lot better. I'm still pretty gun shy on some of the long climbs, just because I'm like going, okay,
Like 4 mounds?
yeah. Oh, God. Well, I suck on that climb anyway. That thing is so steep. It's just horrible. How many feet would you say that climb
I don't know.
covers?
I don't know.
It's not nice.
Mm-hmm.
It's not nice, and the wind is always going just at your back at the same speed as you are going, and you're basically you're riding in a microwave, and it just feels like your head at any point in time is going to go and roll off into the ditch, and explode. So anyway, and the funny thing is I also have been taking it easy on some of those long climbs. Not taking it easy, but riding more of a tempo, just because I want to see, if I ride between 250 and 350 watts, if I can maintain that the whole way and just keep things going. And it seems to be working. I'm doing hill repeats for an article that I've been assigned to do. So my other rides last week were going out, and I had this climb near us, Cedar up to High Drive, basically. It's a little over a mile, and it climbs about 700 feet. It's not huge, but it's maybe 800 feet. But anyway, and I would do like yesterday. I did it 3 times. Just full out tempo I can do. And then on other days, I went out and did some of my normal rides, but I get to the top of the climb and I'd turn around and go back down and do it again, just because I'm working on my obvious weakness, and this has been a really good kind of an assignment for me. Thanks on Mariah for throwing me under the bus here, but it'll be good. And I'm also finding it's really amazing when I don't drink like a frat boy that I don't go into AFib the next day. Who'd have thought, right? Sam's just giving me a judgmental look.
Well, I mean, it's like a medical thing.
Yeah, but and it's been a really interesting delve into mortality. And just like you think you're gonna live forever, and then I don't want to become one of those old guys who's going, well, you better enjoy yourself now because someday it's all gonna be fucked. There's one of my F's because it worked for the joke. So there we go. I'm enjoying riding, and I'm enjoying getting out there again. So let's see. Thursday is gonna be my second race of the year. Is it? Which
That's
sucks.
Awesome.
It sucks though.
You know
Usually
you're
by now
back,
I'd have
though.
8 or
Like-
9. Yeah.
Yeah. We have the next 3 weeks
Yeah.
in a row.
Yeah.
Yeah.
If it makes you
We
feel
do?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's back to
It's
back.
every
Back
Thursday,
to back to back.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And what's great is
Damn.
if we don't win the last one, the bachelor party's gonna be ruined.
Yeah.
So
I'm winning the next
We gotta
3.
cross.
That's
1,
the
2,
Thursday
3.
before
Yeah.
we leave for our
Yeah.
bachelor party.
yeah.
Yeah.
Wow.
We're winning all of them.
Yep.
All right. Speaking of events, I'm shifting gears here slightly. Netflix's Tour de France documentary, Tour de France Unchained, is just a week away from release with the 8-episode
This
series.
Thursday.
It's this week.
Oh, I have old copy here. June 8th. Oh, that's in 2 days.
Yep.
Delving behind the scenes of last year's race just in time to whet the appetites for a rematch between Jonas Vingegaard That's right. That's how I say it. And Tadej Pogacar this July. UAE did not let Netflix apparently into the team bus. Jumbo-Visma did, meaning viewers are going to get an unprecedented access to their campaign. Ineos Grenadiers, Groupama FDJ, EF Education, Alpecin de Koenig, Bora Hansgrohe, and Ajay Duzar also feature in there with interviews, insight, and new perspective on racing the Tour. Has anybody seen the trailer here?
Yes.
So, two of you have?
Yeah.
I have.
I sent it to
I know.
the group.
I haven't clicked it yet.
I don't think I bookmarked it, but I haven't seen it.
I'm so excited.
Paul's like,
It's
Paul's
gonna
like,
be
why
really
do I
good.
try?
June.
Why do I
know.
even bother?
It's
Wait, is
like,
it June or
Jesus.
July that it comes out?
June, this Thursday.
Yeah, this Thursday.
2 days.
So
Cool.
don't even watch the trailer. This would be a total waste of time.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's a Greg LeMond, a Greg
Yeah,
LeMond
that's-
story coming on.
That was the other thing I was
Yeah.
going to talk about too. But thoughts on what this Netflix series is going to do for the sport, if anything? In other words, are non-cyclists going to watch this series? I mean, I've heard there are great documentary series on Formula One racing that have been huge. I mean, there was
and
one
I've
a
watched
couple
all
years
of them.
ago.
And it's still going on. They're
Yeah.
in their fifth or sixth year.
Are people going to line up to watch a Tour de France documentary? Do you think? Do you think we got a chance here?
It's
Jackson's looking a little skeptical.
well, it's tough because we have been saying this year after year after year.
Yeah,
you know.
this is the year.
Yeah. I think.
Thanks, Lance.
Yeah, I think that the fact that Netflix is like taking over is good because they do really good work.
Yeah.
Obviously. But
Except the whole password sharing bullshit. But anyway.
Well, yeah, yeah. But I do think that it'll be really good. It'll be really well done. I'm excited to get to know the riders a little bit more. I think getting to know the characters will help. But all in all, I mean, it'll be another cycling documentary. And what I do think is that it will predominantly bring the cycling community. But then if it does really well and if it's really cool, then it will bring. I mean, Paul, you watched F1. I know you're into Formula One racing a little bit, but I don't think everybody who's been into F1 has watched that series. So I think that it will need a little while. I think it'll be a slow burn, is what I'm trying to get to.
Do you think they'll have to dumb it down like, no offense to them, the NBC coverage does, where they have to go like, no,
Yeah.
this is these steps? Or do you think there's going to be a episode 1 and 2? If you don't understand what's going on after episode 1 and 2, we're not going to bother. We're just going to keep plowing ahead and tell the
that's
story.
kind of the drive to survive.
Yeah, that's what
Yeah.
it is.
So I think like that's what they're gonna. I
the
would assume
format
that's what
and
they're gonna do.
there's full swing too. They have a golfing one too, and it's more on the personal level. So that you follow the event, but they have the interviews,
Sure.
and then they like B-roll a bunch of stuff,
Yeah.
and so it makes it interesting. Even you should try Full Swing. It's about golf. See if that would work for you.
Everything inside my head.
What they do
is
is
just I hate
what
golf.
they do though. It's more they focus just about as much on the event as they do on the people.
Yeah.
So you kind of understand. Like I actually learned a lot, even though I followed F1. I'm not a hardcore F1 person, but I started learning how that system works. I'm like, Jesus. I mean, it uncovers
Really?
a lot. Yeah, and I think we'll be surprised of how teams actually function too at that level. And they will interview the writers and the directors and the sponsors and whatever. So you're going to see stuff that we normally don't see on NBC.
Mm-hmm.
So.
Makes me wonder. In a very, I have very positive thoughts about it, and I'm excited to see it, and I really hope it does something for the sport, especially with the stigma that road cycling has been dealing with over the last 20 years with the doping allegations. And thank God there were no doping allegations in this Tour de France while they were filming this, because if that would have come out, great, kick a farther step. Wow. I can hear that fly. I can hear that fly on the microphones, and David's microphone isn't even on. Usually, if you could hear that fly's heart rate if David was here.
I know.
Yeah. And then the new Le Mans movie, The Last Rider, only in theaters. However, only in theaters. My first question is, which theaters? And my second question is, would you pay to watch this movie in a theater?
Oh, well.
You would, Paul?
Yeah.
Will non-cyclists pay to watch this movie in a theater?
Probably not.
That's why I bet it won't even see
They're
light of
like,
day in
who's
this
Greg
in this
LeMond?
city. I bet it won't see the light of day.
Yeah.
But they've
Garland
had-
did one like that. Yeah.
There's been several just like they'll have like 2 showings
Yeah.
just on a weekend. It's not
Kind of
like
art house
normal.
thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But like you said, the Garland, there was one I think at Regal Cinema
Yep. North.
one time. Yep.
Yep.
That I went and saw. About
Yeah. I mean, man, I grew up watching like all the tour and everything, and I think like the most recent video that got me riled up, about like, oh, this is cool, and then I think that other non-cyclists could relate to was a few
Top
years
Gun?
ago. Oh my god, don't even get me started.
Maverick.
Don't even get me started. Is the Butcher Box like
Yeah.
Criterion
That was
series?
a great
Yeah, it was
Netflix
great. It
series,
just
yeah.
showed an insight into like
what it takes.
what it
what's
takes to be a professional, and like crit is so American, like
Yeah.
in every term, in every way, it's American. Like fast paced, like
F-bombs
crashes,
left and right.
F-bombs left and right.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's just I don't know. I love the romance of the tour because I grew up with it, but I don't know if that's what's going to attract a lot of new roadies.
Couldn't hurt though. It can't
No,
hurt.
No,
I think
it's
I'm
fantastic.
just hoping so much.
There's a lot of people who the viewing of F1 racing now has increased viewership on television or pay per view or whatever, however people
Yeah.
are getting it.
Yeah.
So obviously it does tap a few people on the shoulder and get their attention. So it could even if
there
it's
you go.
an increase of 2%, that's pretty cool.
Cool.
Yeah.
Well, we know they're probably happy with watching it because it's not on Flow Bikes. Speaking of Flow Bikes, Keegan Swenson took the 7-up sprint, and Carolyn Schiff took the win in this last weekend's Unbound Gravel. I didn't even know if it was available online to watch because of last year's mishaps. No, I mean, yes, I give Flow Bikes shit because of their commercials popping up at random times. I don't give Flow Bikes shit because what they're trying to do and how they're trying to bring bicycle racing into our living room, especially something as daunting as Unbound Gravel, a 200-mile ride in the middle of nowhere where you're not going to get a live satellite feed, and you're probably begging for your cell phone to show you a couple bars so you can send the signal back. And that's a logistical nightmare, and I don't even know if it happened. I looked around. I couldn't find it anywhere this weekend, but I was able to catch highlights, so to speak. Event was held under not so pristine conditions. The first 17 miles, I guess, consisted of horrendous mud, causing riders to walk as well as endure massive bike damage, just all over the place. A lot of riders that first 15, 18, 20 miles ruined their race. It was over. Online discussions have been focused on whether or not the organizers should have altered the route, which brings me to our topic for tonight, brought to us by our friends at Perry Street Brewing, official beer of the Pack Filler. Thanks to those guys. Get over there. Wonderful local neighborhood pub with brilliant offerings, brilliant food, and I think one of the best decks for sitting out and drinking beer in the entire city. I want to talk about racing, pro racing, and safety issues that are considered at times and sometimes not considered. So to start with this story of Unbound, and I know Paul's probably going to be like, whatever, it's dirty road racing. Dirty road racing. Dirty race. Dirty racing. We just
You
call
haven't
it
even had a
dirty.
filthy pills.
Yeah, I haven't had my filthy pills. Thoughts on Unbound keeping this part of the course that they knew was impassable?
It wasn't impassable though, because
Exactly.
Cole Patterson and a couple other pros all were like, "Hey guys, by the way, this is how you actually ride."
They
gravel."
cleaned it.
What?
They rode it.
Yeah, they rode it.
But they were in the front. And
Yeah.
you think about like cyclocross, and you start doing
All the
mountain bikes
ruts.
then that's where the problem comes. You're the first one cutting through, right? So
I mean, I still think like, yeah, I mean the ruts are going to make a difference, but you're sinking down to the same level.
Yeah, it
Yeah.
was drivetrain in the mud.
Yeah,
I mean,
exactly.
It was that deep and that
Yeah.
bad.
I mean, that's what it was last year too, though. It was
Yeah.
pretty rough conditions last year. So I mean, I think that when you enter an event like this and it's not going to be a road race, I think you have to expect a little bit of bad conditions no matter where you're ending up. I mean, it's super cheesy because that's what everybody says, but that's kind of the spirit of it. Is that rain or shine, you got to do this, and it's going to be hard, but we're all like collectively, you're going to get through it together, and you'll finish out. I mean, somebody won, you know.
Yeah.
So, and nobody. I mean, there were a few individuals, especially on the long course, that had to drop out, but it's because they're riding 350 miles. You know.
That's insane.
Yeah.
Now you're talking the XL.
I am, but
Yeah.
that's
I'm talking about the 200.
right. I was just segueing from.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you guys think that in gravel, walking is an acceptable part of the event? Paul's, I know, is going to say no.
I
It's
would
a
say
bike
yes.
race. You should. Oh, you
Yeah,
do.
this
really?
is gravel has. Here's the
He's
thing.
like, this is
Gravel
like
has
gravel
no
sucks.
rules.
Yeah.
So why wouldn't that not be a part of it? I mean, if the organizer or whoever designs this course throws a river crossing, and you have to float and swim across. I mean, that's the whole purpose. I don't
Air up
understand
the
why.
tires. We
I
need a
don't
flotation
understand- well,
device.
I don't understand why everybody's getting all riled up about like this. This should have been altered. I'm like, it's a gravel race. What happened to the spirit? And then now they've banned aero bars, and it's like, okay, here we go. It's just going to be another race, and then there's going to be rules. The whole idea of this, and the people that liked it, was like anything goes. So if it pisses down rain, or it snows in the middle of it, or lightning storm, find cover, under, hopefully not under a tree. But that's the spirit of gravel.
Everybody's
And
spread
it's
out.
like I don't.
Best man.
Yeah.
So you guys are saying it in this kind of a situation, it is more of a rider beware.
That's what you enter for. It's an attrition. It's 100% attrition race. And so whatever is thrown at you, you have to look at the possibilities. Whether you look at the terrain, it's like, oh, Jesus, I'm going to need whatever gearing. I'm going to have to change different tires. Maybe go a narrower tire because there's less. That's the whole. I thought that's what the spirit of gravel is, and it seems to be going towards
A bunch of Nancy's.
Yeah, it's like
With you.
the spirit. I mean, now that people complaining because they have guys that are kind of like pacers for women to win the race.
Yeah.
But that's a part of the race.
Don't get me started. I think men and women should be completely separate races and different starting times. Completely.
Well, the big thing, they
that's
sprinted-
absolute lunacy.
And
Really?
Yeah.
Why?
It's 100%. I think these are two different races, and I shouldn't benefit from the fact that you got a flat and I got in a group with a bunch of haul ass people that aren't necessarily in my category.
I didn't think
You're a
of
road
that.
racer then.
Yeah.
That's not a gravel event. A gravel event
It's
to
mass
me is
start.
like mass start. That's what everybody
Your
liked
equipment
about
is
it.
Really?
it's just like
Yep.
Wout Venner got a flat
Yeah.
and he lost.
Yeah.
Paris-Roubaix.
But Wout Van Aert wasn't racing amongst accountants and
No,
house
but he got a
husbands.
flat. It's like he had a technical issue, and it's like I think that if it's a mass start, then everybody is hopefully your equipment holds up. The
Jack.
best man and woman roll across the finish line first.
And I mean, if you really think about it, like there are a lot of people out there that are racing against YouTubers. You know what I mean? Like like what is worth any like experience? I mean, it kind of goes back to what we were just talking about before. I mean, if we're all gonna enter in, we all got like whoever's gonna win has to have not necessarily the most experience, but just the best legs on the day, and it kind of comes down to our same crit thing. It doesn't matter who has the most experience; it matters who has the best legs on the day. It's like, who would have thought that? I mean, let's say Alex Howes wasn't from EF and he just won. He'd just be, now he's Alex Howes, the one who won Unbound. Do you get what I'm trying to say?
Mm-hmm.
I guess so. So
Hey, the other issue that they had too is because there was 4 guys sprinting for the
seven
seven guys,
total.
and then they had the 100-miler guys sitting there waving to their family and stuff.
Talk about a cluster F.
Yeah, but to me
Every
that's-
year I've watched that finish stretch, and they always have a drone following the riders in, and I'm going, they have that whole road. Why isn't it wider? Where you're telling people, you
Yeah.
have somebody, you get a volunteer, some dentist on a weekend standing up there with a sign in his hand saying, slower riders to this side, slower riders to this side with a bullhorn yelling it because you've got guys coming down flying. Tour de France yellow jersey holders, flying down. And some guy who lost a bet 6 months ago and signed up for this race, hey, look at me. They aren't going to believe this at the accounting office on Monday. And you've got these guys hauling ass down the street. Widen the effing road.
Yeah, that's a very good point. I think that is crazy.
I disagree. You
do?
I think this is the whole idea is starting and finishing as a group. That's the whole spirit
but
of
a
it.
100-miler should not finish the same time as like those groups, right?
200 miler and a 100 miler.
Like it almost seems like it should be different day events.
I think you guys are looking at it like it's a USA cycling. This is not it. This is a Gran Fondo. How many times in Gran Fondos you're in the lead group and you're running across the same thing? This is the nature of gravel. And I don't see anything wrong with it. And if I do, that's probably some of the reason I don't do Gran Fondos is because I don't like that atmosphere.
Okay.
I don't like, sprinting against somebody and, oh, geez, here's so-and-so waving to his family. And I think that's great. That's the part that got them out and they're riding their bike. But I don't like that. So I don't do it.
Let's backpedal.
So
Let's
crusty.
backpedal just a little second. He is, but I agree with him. Which makes me crusty
I was
too.
going to say it's a come as you are sport.
Yep.
It's all inclusive. So the second you take one finisher here, one finisher there, it instantly negates that.
Yeah. Well,
Yeah.
even cattle are sent into specific chutes before they're shot in the heads.
But we are not cattle. We have thumbs.
I've done that.
Oh my god! That was totally unexpected. That was hilarious. Also, on that same note, though, like
this way? This is odd. I've never gone. Hey, ow!
if we're
I'm dead.
talking about is this still a topic of race promoters and changing up scenes? Are we still on that topic? Can I
That's where we're
Okay.
going. That's where I'm trying to steer this ship, but you guys are
So
taking
I'm gonna
control.
just come a little local with it and say, did anybody see the post on like
I
RC3?
didn't get to read it.
Yeah. So they
yeah.
said something about like the time trial being on gravel.
I did. And I saw that word again on a post today,
Yep.
right when I had reached my absolute boiling point of the word gravel.
And then you raged.
A little bit.
Yep.
Yep.
Okay, I just wanted to
Might need an
touch
out of
on
box
that.
for my
we
phone.
Can, we
Did you
can
read
just-
it?
We can cover
What-
that. Yeah.
what did it
so
do?
they're discuss. I mean, like it was a thought. It's not even a discussion, but it was a thought. Like, hey, how do you guys feel about gravel being on the time trial course? Terrible. I feel
Do you?
terrible about
Yeah.
that.
Yeah, I don't think
This is a road race. Like
Yeah.
there's gravel events that should be gravel, and then we have a road race that is on roads.
Yeah.
I don't know. That's me personally. I'm like, why are we crossbreeding this? Like,
So
keep road what it is.
So you're saying stick to your shoot.
Yeah.
But I don't.
Yeah.
I like the idea of like Ronde van Palouse where there's gravel sections in it.
Super different though.
Yeah, it is. But to have a time trial in a road race, and especially
Exactly.
because for the crusty old people, later that day is actually the district championship. So
Yeah. Which means less people are going to be doing that. The time trial.
yeah, exactly.
Yeah, if they did that.
Yeah.
So let's back up a little bit. We were talking about the fact that should the organizers have done something about the course conditions and made an alteration. And I think Paul kind of already answered this in terms of the spirit of gravel. The Gavia on the 1988 Giro d'Italia, as we talked about a couple weeks ago in terms of its atrocious weather conditions. Would the UCI run that race today?
No way.
Paul says no.
Nope.
Should they have in 1988?
I don't think so, but it certainly made for a great story. And all those guys who finished have. That's the uniqueness about road racing.
Yeah.
Probably the thing is the most epic rides that I can recall in this long history I've been doing this are
Buckle up.
nasty conditions. Absolutely nasty.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
hailing, crying.
Yeah.
And that, in essence, that's kind of the cool part about cycling. It isn't like if I wanted great conditions, I'd just be a Zwift racer or something. It's ideal. Get all these fans and,
Yeah, control the temperature.
yeah, exactly.
The fans don't work. The fans are a lie. Trust me. I melt every time I hop on the trainer, and I spend a lot more time on the trainer.
I mean, like, but think about, was it 2 or 3 years ago that the Frenchman, he races for Quick Step.
Alaphilippe.
Thank you, Alaphilippe.
Yeah, he's won a stage in the Criterium.
Yeah, so
Yesterday.
a couple years ago, they shut down the pass because there was, like, flash flood craziness,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
And it's like, I don't know, that's the closest thing that reminds me of, like,
Talking about the tour?
That
Yeah,
The
lost
tour
tour.
of the
Tour.
year that basically
Right.
decided that Egan Bernal won his
Exactly.
one and only tour.
That decided the tour.
Yeah,
right
it
on that
did.
stage.
and
There
so
were
I'm just
no
saying,
more
like,
opportunities to
they
attack.
now do intercept those things, right? Like, they're like, nope, not safe. But, yeah.
We see and hear stories of cars on courses, of barriers that are not properly set up, collisions with spectators, collisions with motos and such. Do you guys have any examples where the race was clearly dangerous or damaging, and experiences you've been in? For example, I think of my experience that I always jokingly nowadays talk about the year I went to the Super Week in Milwaukee, which is inappropriately named because you would go there and it was probably 20 plus racing opportunities in the course of a little over 2 weeks. And you would go there and there were constant races happening everywhere. It wasn't a stage race. They were just individual races happening everywhere. And it was a great thing. But there was one day in particular, we were in I don't think we were in downtown Milwaukee. I think we were in Green Bay or something like that. And it could have been. The details, they're gone. Meds. But I do remember the officials specifically telling us at the start it was a wet day and we were crossing a river twice in the course, in the crit. And each time we crossed the river, we went over a metal bridge that was graded. While you're riding, you could look down through the grading, and if you stopped, you could see the river below. And it was raining. And they said to us specifically, I remember it to this day, riders, if you crash on the bridge, fist your hands so you don't put your fingers into the grading of the bridge.
lose
That
a
shit
finger.
scares the hell out of me.
Yeah.
This was what they told us, and then they fired the gun for a 1 hour crit at full speeds. I was racing Cat 1-2 Pros, and it was, immediately out of the gun, hauling ass. And I remember hearing that, thinking to myself, huh? So,
Did I hear that right?
yeah. And I've seen other examples where you've had situations where people have wandered out into the course, where you've had bad barriers. Paul, I remember you told a story once about a race that was so crash-ridden that they just had to basically settle it in like a 3-up sprint.
Yeah, it was actually it wasn't so as the course, it just was such a massive pileup, and they had to shut the race down to get an ambulance out because a teammate of mine actually face planted and was unconscious and stuff. And so we were just catching Billy.
Billy's course? Yeah.
So I was in the four-man break, and I had a teammate, and we were just about ready to lap the field, and that's when it happened because people reacted once we came around the corner and they saw. I think people started, making foolish decisions. No one wants to get lapped.
Yeah.
So then some hook bars banged, piled. The bikes were flying all over the place, and then what they did is they had stopped the race, and then we had a 2-lap scratch race for placing 1, 2, 3, 4.
It's a bloodbath. I've been in those.
They hosed down the with the blood spot because
Oh my
it
God.
literally. And when
Oh
I
my
went by,
God.
he was unconscious, and I see blood running down
Yeah.
the concrete. So.
Yeah, I've been in a few of these like events with either big crashes and they restart the crit and everybody's like, "Don't do this, don't do this."
We're not mentally here.
exactly.
I announced a tour of Walla Walla where it
that
ended
was
like
one.
that.
I was there.
Oh,
Yeah,
you
that was
were?
a few
Okay.
years ago.
Yeah.
And I was one of the voices was like, "Please don't restart this," because everybody was checked out and like there was just a huge crash. If you started with 2 laps to go, there's going to be another big crash. Anyway. That's all aside, but I raced in the snow. That like they kept it going because they're like, it seems like it's not too bad, and I'm like, there's like 2 inches of snow out here. What do you mean it's not that bad? And so it's like I think that it's just hard because you've done all this effort to put on a race, and
Yeah.
you want to see it through, and that's kind of part of road cycling is, like having those events and the craziness of it. But yeah, it is unsafe.
At the 24-hour race, we had
Yeah.
lightning and thunder and lightning. We had issues where
Very,
people
very
were
frightening.
people were coming up to me and asking me about postponement during the lightning, and I looked at them and I said, "It's a 13-mile course. There are people who are out on far stretches of the course. If I were to stop the race now,
Yeah.
how am I going to get word
Yeah.
out to them? What am
Yeah.
I supposed to do?"
Hide under a tree.
Yeah. And
The tallest
just-
one.
but at some point does personal responsibility kick in, and if it's lightning out, you should
Exactly
shelter,
right.
Yeah.
not the race promoter's responsibility
I
to
agree.
teach you common sense to shelter.
Well, especially in an event like that. I mean,
Yeah.
I think that it's different if it was like a
pack.
Yeah, a
Yeah.
timed
Yeah.
categorical race, which I guess technically 24 Riverside
Yeah.
is, but I just think that that's a little bit different in the sense it's almost like a fondo, so
Yeah.
it's kind of like every person for themselves.
Other challenges that popped into my mind. I announced the opening of the Bloomsday Road Run this year, which was for many years the largest timed running event in the world. Over 30,000 participants this year. And right when we were about to start our elites, a drug-riddled person was standing at the start line. Standing like there that he was ready to run the race.
Bet you would have won if you let him go.
He would have. He would have ran his
Tweaking.
muscles into
Yeah.
dust. Yeah. And we had to. He would not move, and the race had to start at a specific time. He would not move, and we had to get security, police, to come and get him and forcibly remove him from the start line before the event started. I'm not saying this is a common element, but I do remember specifically when I was racing in the 80s, talking to some riders where a drug-infected person wandered onto the course in the final 200 meters of the race. The field struck him. He was killed, and it obviously took out several people. We do have these issues. As a downtown, we want to put on a downtown event. Paul, we were talking about this on the ride, and you were saying, like, great thing about downtown events is most of them leave. They go someplace else
Yeah.
because they don't want to deal with all the crowds. But how do you deal with these types of events? This is the stuff that keeps me awake at night, I guess is what I'm saying. I'm saying, okay, let's do this race. And all of a sudden, this demon on my shoulders comes up and starts saying, you got to be careful of this, and this is going to happen, and they're going to take your house, and some asshole's going to crash, and it's going to be the fact that he broke his chain, but because he signed up, and you're fucked, So there's two. Am I overreacting?
Well, I think that, to start on my own personal level, when I crashed a couple weeks ago, they were asking, I like that Sam came back with a handful of
I thought
Skittles.
you were going to piss. You just went to get
That's what I
Skittles?
But that's hilarious.
I know where they are now.
But on my own personal level, when I crashed a couple weeks ago, they took down a lot of information because they were worried that I was going to ask for insurance.
Yeah.
Or I was going to get,
File
I was
a
going to
claim.
sue. Yeah.
Yeah.
And as this person was taking down my my information, I looked at him and I said, wait. I'm not going to press any charges. I'm not going to do anything beyond just having road rash and walking away.
Yeah.
Like, I just wanted to really make that clear because I feel like there are a lot of people who, like you, are afraid of, Dad, or the people that are going to look at you and say, I'm going to sue you because I was the one that crashed myself out. Because realistically, it's not their fault that I crashed. It's nobody's fault. It just happened. And I think that's ridiculous that people will blame that on there. But another thing that is difficult about this whole downtown or our sport in general is that we are on, in the amateur level, a lot of, in I would say 85% of the cases, we are on open roads.
Yeah.
And so anything can happen. Even in a downtown crit, people could not know what's going on and they could cross at the worst time. And I think that's the issue that's at hand. But I will say that there are a lot of really great insurance things out there, because I remember getting information when I did crash saying we can cover what your insurance didn't.
Absolutely, and that's why promoters get these insurance plans.
Right.
So and that's why they're asking these questions, because you can take advantage of
Yes.
that insurance that is offered by the USAC. I'm going to be honest, that's, in my personal opinion, one of the last things that USAC is offering us to put on races. Event insurance.
Yeah.
Let's be honest. What else are they giving us? Do we have a trailer full of supplies? Do we have marketing abilities? Do we have the use of their social media? No, we don't have shit. We're putting on a race and hoping people show up.
Well, and I think that's what's also tough about the current scenario is that there are people that will race and understand that there are insurance, but now there's a bigger platform. You can go onto social media and say, I crashed. Look what these people did. And I understand where you are coming from when you say, oh, will somebody possibly take my house? It's because we are now in a society where nobody has any more tolerance for this type of stuff.
Yeah.
When I hit my head, I'm not going to look at the race promoter and say, this is all on you.
Yeah.
It's just it's a bummer because we could put on such great events if people weren't so uptight in a lot of cases. I feel
How about
like.
this, though? If I crash in mile 10 of Unbound, or if I crash in mile whatever of a road race that it happens to start snowing and the officials and the race promoters decide to keep me on that course, how does the decision process change there? Sam's shaking his head while
No, it's
chewing on
still
Skittles.
on you. God, Skittles are so good.
We
That's
can
the best
hear
decision
everyone
I
you're
made.
eating. by
That's
the
the
way.
best decision
We
I
can
made.
hear
all
everyone.
night.
By the way, audience, when you hear a little bit of this, like a that's Sam putting Skittles into his face.
Skittles and pervy pills for the win. Yeah, no, I mean, at the end of the day,
There's
it
the
is
show name.
100% your responsibility
Yep.
to pull yourself out of a race.
Exactly.
It is.
They're not holding a gun.
There is
You can't.
Yeah.
It's snowing.
You
no, you
said
can't get out.
you
This is
were
a
gonna
Stephen King
finish.
novel. Yeah.
You're gonna finish.
Yeah.
Yeah, no.
Everybody has
that's
the right
like-
to stop
Yeah,
or
if
not
you think
enter a
this
race.
is no, yeah. I mean, I think like it's up to the like. I would be more disappointed if a race promoter decided like, oh, this is super dangerous and we should all keep racing because, haha, this will make a good story.
Yeah.
You know, as opposed to like, yeah, maybe it's some adverse conditions. If you don't feel safe in them, pull yourself out.
Yeah.
There was a
Pull yourself out.
Pervy pills.
there was a race, this early stage race. It's Frozen Flatlands.
Yeah.
It was a stage race, and they had a time trial. It was a 12-mile time trial, and I showed up, and they're like, the delay. We're delaying it. We've got black ice.
Yeah, I
And
remember that.
and I'm like, what? And sure enough, it was terrible.
it was like maybe the first week of April.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And there was black ice. So it was delayed, I think, 2.5 hours. And there was one section where I moved far to the right. I think you're supposed to pass on the left, but for some reason this person was too far over. And I could see a gap, and I could feel the back wheel go. Whoop.
Oh,
There was
wow.
just a section there, and it was still on the road. Did I stop? No. It's
Gotta
like,
make
well,
up. Gotta
no,
make up. That was the
well,
lost second.
Not only that, I thought, okay, then I just took note that maybe some of the ice on the edge of the road, because all the water's running off, is thicker. Stay more to the center of the road where there's traffic and stuff and melting it off.
Are you
I mean-
listening to yourselves here? And we're talking about the shit. We're just like, we're paying to do this to ourselves. And we're like, whoa, that was a little slippery.
Yeah.
I got to make up that time. Go harder.
Yeah. There's
Good
nothing wrong with it. That's
Lord.
why I do it. I mean,
That's-
that's the whole thing.
That is the mindset. I was literally having this conversation with my wife yesterday about like, if you were to tell me, like there's this event.
Well, you're
that is-
begging her to let you come back in the house
Exactly.
for all the money you've spent on this stuff.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay.
Like $250 for a stage race, right? It's not unusual. Or $250 for a multi-day gravel race where it's just like you have beer and have fun with your friends. Like that mentality of like, yeah, let's go be sketchy on bikes and go really fast. That's kind of not there anymore. Like, I don't know how you bring that back. Like, you're crazy. You know?
I mean, the race was going on, right? I made the mistake of going to the right, in my opinion.
Yeah, see,
I should have figured it out. That's
that's bananas. Like, there's just not that mentality out there anymore.
Has anybody ever bailed on a race due to either crashes or weather conditions?
Yes.
You have?
oh yeah. I will send you. I'll try and write it because you're trying to get us to write.
Well, I'm going to talk about this here shortly, too. This is another topic. So good, good.
I have a picture where I crashed in a crit twice because it was bouncing off the pavement. The rain was coming down so hard.
Whitworth?
Yeah,
Is that out of
Whitworth crit.
Yeah.
Yeah. Brand new skin suit. and it was shredded.
Well, that was just a
I
few
get
years
it.
ago.
Too soon.
All
Yeah,
too
it was
well.
about 2000.
Like 16, 17.
Yeah, probably. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's how much the skin suit cost too.
Yeah, I know.
Shit.
2016.
Yeah.
Those things are too expensive. Let's really get onto that topic.
Well, you're getting a pair of shorts and a jersey at the
You
same
are.
so
It's
then
2
it's-
for 1.
$400.
No, it wasn't.
Well,
that's
it
not
is
what they-
now.
Yeah, yeah, it is.
Do you know that your Grandma May once actually took a jersey and fitted it for me and sewed it to a pair of shorts and made me a skin suit?
Can
What a
you do that
legend.
now? Because I'm in the
It
market
is.
for a
It
skin
is
suit.
hanging. It is hanging in the bike studio.
Wow.
It is hanging in there to this day.
Does it
And
say Arrive on it?
it does, and it actually fit. It was perfect.
Bring
Orange-
it back.
The orange
Bring
and,
it back.
and red. Yeah, with the black.
It was
lettering on
the orange. It looked like a Hitachi kit. Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
yeah. You just try it on.
Right.
I was smaller then, so
Yeah.
it might fit.
Yeah.
That is a fat joke at Pat's expense. But I'm working on it. I have a 5-pound bag of Skittles on my stairs.
I'm helping you with that.
Not anymore.
Yeah,
It's
I have 4.5.
free.
4.5. Yeah. Do you guys think we are, like Sam was saying? Do you think we're softer now, so to speak, in terms of the magnitude and the difficulty and the severity of races and soldiering on, or do we look at it in terms of a safety element? Are we more apt to be lean towards the safer side? Paul, I know what he's going to say.
You know, I do know what Paul's going to say, but I think we're going to be surprised at what I'm going to say. I think yes. I think we are a little bit softer than we used to be. Because I feel like I'm always on the side of like, oh no, it's a safety hazard. But there are a lot of cases where, if I'm being really honest, there are times when I probably shouldn't be out there, but I'm still going to be out there, especially in the spirit of competition,
Yeah.
to take advantage of that opportunity.
What are the chances of being struck by lightning? I mean, let's be honest.
Right.
You're on rubber tires.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's a good point. You're
That's-
grounded.
yeah.
You're immediately
That's how
grounded.
that works, right, Paul?
Yeah,
You're the electrician here.
Kind of.
Wait, is that not true?
But
Would it
that's-
not work?
That little bit of insulation, you had the voltage that comes through
Wouldn't
those
work?
things.
I'm kidding.
Fucking
I'm
hell.
kidding. I'm kidding.
That's all right. I got rubber soles.
Yeah. Now I have superpowers. Or do we blame it on some of our litigious nature of our society here, which in this country we are losing a lot of abilities to do many of these sports that are out on open roads.
Yeah.
I think the people are soft nowadays.
Do you?
The number of comments that I get, like, about hearing the stories that I do, like talking to people at the Wallace trip, right? Like, that's a big back-to-back day, but it's not really that epic.
No, especially because you're not because you're sleeping in a hotel. You
I know.
wuss.
I know. It's soft.
Yeah.
Like, I talk to people about this and like, man,
Oh, I got a shower.
you're like, you're really mentally strong. I'm like, God, I'm really not. You should see the people I compete against.
You want to know what
it's
I think
like-
is really crazy though about our sport is that, like, for instance, when we raced our first crit, they were like, "How long did you race for?" And I said 20 minutes or 20 miles, 21 miles.
Yeah.
And somebody bent over and was like, "Oh my god, that is crazy."
How did you do that?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's like
Yeah.
I have readjusted my brain, and I know the four of us have,
Yeah.
to think that that's nothing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That was an hour at most. It's just like I think that when we can mentally adjust ourselves to just that's the norm, I think that is crazy because it seems completely natural to me.
Have you seen the T-shirts that are like, yes, 100 miles. Mm-hmm. Yes, all at once. Yes, my butt hurt. No, I know you. Yes, I understand you don't like driving your car that far. You know, it's like, geez,
But this is
the
like
same question.
very out of the norm for a regular person.
Right.
Yeah.
For a regular person, but I do think that there's I don't think that the mental fortitude is there anymore for
I wonder which came first. The litigious side, I think, it plays a bigger bearing on that because all of a sudden we're aware of, this is dangerous because people are suing. And I'll use this as an example. I brought up earlier in the show, Volunteer Park. It's an iconic race that it started everything. Everybody went there.
Still going. Was held last weekend.
Yeah. But it's not in April. So, but it was a Cat 4 race, and if I can recall, this is maybe 15 years ago, maybe even more, 20, because I'm old. It seems like yesterday. But
I'm not even
So
going to
this
play the
guy-
sound effect because you just basically personified it.
so this guy racing in the Cat 4s crashes severely and runs, I think, into a tree, gets banged up pretty bad. They take him to the hospital. They call person of contact, which is this woman's wife, this man's wife, I should say, and so they called, and she shows up, and she goes, "Where's his stuff?" And she grabs it, and she goes, "You will hear from our lawyers." And she didn't even ask his condition, where's he at, all that type of thing, and took off. And sure enough, they were suing the promoters, and Gino, who's the one that told me the story, and it's like, what do we do about that? And Gino says the best thing to do is, like, that person's blackballed. Don't all promoters say, hey, this person will, if something goes wrong.
Yeah.
He made a decision to go a little bit fast. Yes, there was trees. If you remember that, you're doing 40 miles an hour around that corner on Volunteer Park. Mm-hmm. And all it takes is a crash. You could possibly run into a tree. But mountain bikes, same thing. There's boulders. There's trees.
Yeah.
And those things don't move. You splat.
And you were the one
you
that
take
entered
the
the
risk.
race, and you're the one that was going around the corner.
Exactly. So then
Preview the course.
I
If
think
you can't handle it, GTFO.
Yeah.
But
we can't uproot trees for this course because you might run into it.
we now live in a world where waivers don't matter anymore.
No.
They've beaten the waiver. And again, I guess I constantly come back to this element of why would you want to put on a race? Eric, my co-promoter of the 24-hour race, and I, we had people hurt. We had a broken collarbone, we had a broken arm, and we had somebody with a head injury. All in the course of that 24 hours. All were taken care of. All were medically taken care of. All were taken to hospitals and everything like that. In fact, we had one couple in particular. One of the rider was injured, and they had to leave their vehicle out of the campsite because the rider was still in the hospital as of Monday morning, and he was fine. He ended up being okay. He was released, but he was sent from there. Our insurance covered it, and as did the individual riders' insurance cover it. Does that terrify me to the core? Abso-freaking-lutely.
That's crazy, because how I see this in the medical field is, like, from what I would perceive in that, is you did everything within your responsibility to take care of said human's life at your event.
True.
You handed them off to the next place, you're done.
A runner,
it's not your responsibility.
A runner on the very same weekend in the Coeur d'Alene Marathon died in the middle of the race at the Coeur d'Alene Marathon. That scared me even more because I know I'm probably overreacting because that's why we have insurance. That's why the insurance companies exist, and that's why you cover your ass. But who knows if somebody's spouse or significant other or family doesn't look at you and say, I don't care. I'll see you in court. The costs of going to court alone can break you.
I would just walk into the courtroom unrepresented and be like, go to hell.
Yeah, and that'll go over like a fart in church.
You have this like grieving spouse over here, and then you have this asshole.
Yeah. Those pews really amplify.
Yeah, it does.
Yeah, I'm speaking from experience. Yeah, especially if your stomach's growling in church. And you're oh no!
It's the damn wafers.
Yeah, it's
Damn wafers.
damn.
Yeah, that's crazy that people sue over that stuff.
They
like
do.
they entered the event.
Yeah,
Sue them.
and that's what's happening to
But
our
don't you
state
think and I understand, knowing you as a promoter and I know you as a human, you don't want ill will on anybody. And if there was an issue in the course where a lot of people kept crashing, you would,
close
alter
the
it.
section of the course.
Yeah, exactly.
Now we're back to unbound gravel, by the way. But yeah,
But that was just mud.
Yeah,
People had to
yeah.
walk. So,
Yeah.
But anyway, to me, it's one of those things we will never be able to stop that. And what do we, the 1 or less than 1% of the people that are going to try and screw you over, does that just freeze us? Do we stop doing the things that we like because they're going to sue the shit out of us?
No,
I can't live that way, and that is some of the reason. I'm going to throw it back to me. My wife and I are like, we like living downtown. We like to go downtown. Are we going to have the undesirables push us out? No.
yeah.
Why not go there and, force it the other way? Get people downtown and living and, enjoying life, and pretty soon they're pushed out to the outskirts.
Yeah.
That's how we should do the same thing when it comes to bike races. And or and promoters should do the same thing. They should say, you can't look at the possibility of one person screwing you over, because then what's the sense of even putting on an event?
Assholes are going to asshole.
Yep.
Jackson got into a slight little bump in his car, fender bender, and these people, like 5 weeks later, all of a sudden brought up like the fact that their car was totaled.
2 months, and you're telling me that your car is totaled and you're injured when you're walking over to me.
Yeah, it was bullshit. They assholes were being assholes,
How long
and they
ago
were
was
trying
this?
to.
This was now, I would say,
Probably we're going on
half
5
a
months.
year ago.
Yeah, we're going on 5 to 6 months,
yeah.
and our insurance. Thank God we have a good insurance. Who went? When did they, I loved how they asked Jackson? When did you have your car repaired? And he went, I didn't, which means it was that slow of a bump in ice. Yet they were claiming their car was totaled, and our insurance adjuster was like, okay, I'll handle it, and that's the last we heard of it. So hopefully we're not
Yeah, I don't need
2
that
months
right
away
now. I'm
from-
getting married.
Yeah.
Exactly. So, well, I guess we'll end this with assholes gonna asshole. But actually, I will ask one more question. In your opinion, in the pro ranks, does the UCI care, or is the bottom line the only line? Is it about money, or is it about the riders, or is it a nice, happy, perfect rainbows and unicorns blend of both?
Man, I think it is a tough situation where do they care about the pro riders? I think that the pro riders care so much because this is the only thing making them money. This is their livelihood, so really are they going to stop? No. They got to win to make the money. They got to ride to make the money.
But they need a secure environment in which to do it.
Yeah.
I'm talking about like finish barriers and things like that we're seeing.
I 1,000% agree, but I think that in a lot of cases, the governing bodies will do as much as they can to make things as safe as they can, but in the end, the race is still going to happen.
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree with that. I think that UCI has done a good job of cleaning up street, litter type stuff in the sense of barricades. And man, I remember when Worlds were in Richmond and they literally repaved. They had the center island that was on for our version of that, and they're like, so it turns out that's a terrible decision, and we're going to repave that. Wow. They went through and got rid of an entire middle island down this whole finishing straight because they're like, that seems a little dangerous.
Thank God, because Peter Sagan won that race.
I know.
Mm-hmm.
You raced in Richmond.
Mm-hmm.
You did?
Yeah.
Wow,
For the
that's crazy.
collegiate. Yeah, I did the collegiate
know
version
that.
of the year before.
It's just town, Jackson. We can go there today if you want.
It's a really it's a really cool course.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, we've seen it on
On Zwift. I know.
Yeah.
It is
I
that
race,
course.
I race it all the time.
Yeah.
I love that course.
Yeah.
That's my favorite one on Zwift.
It's cool.
Do we have a quick fit this week?
Yes.
A quick tip, by
Yeah.
the way, which is also obviously brought to us by Ambassador Cycling, ambassadorcycling.com. Check it out today.
Thank you.
What do you got for us?
Write in your questions if you guys have any questions
Yeah.
regarding any of your personal fit issues. If you're having pain, write it in. But this one is actually in regards to what Jackson and I have been going through because we're picking out different handlebars, which we won't get too into the depth of that. But something to consider is that you need to have, if we're going off a fit standpoint, we have compact handlebars, right, that shorten your reach, but there's also a sweep that's in some of the bars, and that is actually where it's like a forward bend, so where the flats are.
Like crit bars. You remember the 60?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh,
LA
okay.
And they
65s?
wrap,
Yeah.
exactly.
Yeah,
they
yeah.
wrap forward, so
Yeah.
that's going to make your essential reach further than what a flat top would be. So
Wow.
just pay attention to those types of numbers. Like if you like your fit now and you need to replace your handlebars, or if you're just looking to upgrade from aluminum to carbon, so on and so forth, make sure that those numbers line up. But there's a very big difference between your sweep and then also compact handlebars to affect your reach.
The drop.
Yep,
The depth
that
of the
affects the
drop,
drop.
yeah.
Yep.
How apt are you guys to ride in the drops? How often do you spend
lot.
time
A
in the
lot.
drops? Really?
Yeah.
Especially
if it's
in
fit
races.
right. Yeah, I love
I
riding
spend
in the drops.
so much time in the hoods.
Yeah.
I spend 90% of my time in the hoods.
Training, I'll probably spend more time, but in a race, I'm more in the drops.
Yeah. If I'm off the front, I'm low on the hoods, but if I'm in a pack, I'm on the hoods or in the drops because I just feel like I have more control.
I think I need to get a refit.
Probably.
Yeah.
We should do that.
Especially because, and I also need to
Your
obviously
shoulders
work on my
are-
core.
are-
Shoulders are still just toast.
You want to use your second
My
F
second.
bomb?
No, I've already used 2. I have 1 left.
Oh, okay. Don't.
And
don't
I
burn
just that just might be the cherry on the the bing right at the end of the
Cherry
thing,
on the fucking top. Yeah, right there.
right on the top. So before we do finish off, I do want to take a bit and let everybody know this is something that I've been just inundating everybody in the show with lately, and I apologize for my long texts. No, I don't. Screw you guys. We're planning on expanding the written offerings. Well, actually, I'm putting myself out there saying that we're going to increase the presence of the website quite a bit at packfiller.com, and I want to expand the written elements. And Paul, you mentioned that earlier of what we offer, and I want to strive for something that I kind of refer to as a online magazine for cyclists who get the joke. And when I say get the joke, it's kind of a term that I talk about where you take it seriously, but you're also willing to self-deprecate and laugh at yourself or laugh at each other. And I think especially road cycling needs a lot more of that. But I do want to ask the listeners out there, and I do want to ask you guys here, what do you guys read online in your cycling life? Read in your cycling life. I know, Paul, you're probably a pretty big devourer of that type of stuff.
Yeah, I some books when it's cyclists do a autobiography or biography of a cyclist. I always read that on a daily basis or close to a daily basis. Escape Collective,
great website.
So I use that.
And
all the
good
time.
guys in the industry.
Yep,
really good guys in the industry.
And so those are where I get my information and stuff from. So.
Yeah. Do you guys read for fun, or do you read specifically factual content?
Both. I mean, for my field, like I read a ton on new group sets that are coming out so that I know like how to adjust them and everything because that's just part of the business. But I think outside of that, I really enjoy reading different adventures that people take.
Yeah.
That's a big one for me. Just because the community of cycling, I think, is cool.
Yeah.
And different people's adventures.
I'm going to plug on Mariah Rook, who just finished Unbound Gravel, the XL. Mm-hmm. She got second in the women and was 12th overall. And I'm going to talk to her I'm going to talk to her next Monday to have her on the show. So
very cool.
We're going to have her on, just talk to her about that experience. And she wrote it up in Cycling Weekly online.
Yeah.
Jackson, do you do any reading online? And you don't I mean, shit, I just do YouTube.
Yeah. No, I mean, I'll be honest, I work in such a fast-paced day that reading doesn't really it sounds like a bit of an excuse, but it takes too much time, unfortunately.
Yeah.
With the little bit of time I have to be a person. And so I do a lot of visual content instead of like video content is what I mean, rather than like literary content, but it's something that I really do enjoy. I love to hear about a person's story, but I also, Sam, like you brought up, I really enjoy the hearing about the new tech.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. I also want to increase our video presence, but that's hard. I have the capacity to do it. It's just
time consuming.
It is very time consuming. What would you guys like to read more of? What's missing out there and I'm asking this to everybody who's listening to this show also right now. What it's not out there that you would like to see or read or experience? Does anybody have any?
I think somebody who's really trying to work their way into the industry a little bit more, I would really like to hear about, first of all, like just a person who is pretty entrenched in that industry, their experience and how they got there. But also just like
which element of the industry, if I may ask?
I think any of it. Honestly, I would just like to hear how people get into this line of work or into this.
So you mean racing, or do you mean
bike tech or bike rev?
I know it's kind of sounds like a cop out, but it's literally just a blanket term of how any average Joe, whether you be like you're a bike fitter or whether you be a pro racer or a pro mechanic, any of that stuff, I would really be. I think that's an interesting thing because I feel like when we look at this whole sport as a collective, it's just you race your bike, but there's so many different pieces that go into it, and I think that's something that's really interesting. And also the average Joe working through their bike. Yeah, we don't really get to hear a lot of like, you hit a road bump. Well, like everybody experiences that type of thing.
Yeah.
Man, I would love to hear about how a mechanic got to where they are.
I was
at the
just
pro
thinking of
level.
Calvin.
Yeah.
how
That is-
Calvin got to where he
Yeah,
is.
because there is a good book out there that I actually have that's about the bike mechanic, right? And they write just about what their daily role is. That's
Yeah.
cool, but like, how'd you get there?
Yeah.
Did you start out in a shop and all that? Like, because
That's
I had
what I mean,
I had
yeah.
a point in which
I just
I was
wrote
asked
how
to
I
go
got
and
here. Yeah.
be a mechanic for Jelly Belly, and I was like, yeah, that doesn't pay.
Yeah.
No,
You know?
Yeah.
not at all.
Not at
it's
all.
like being a chef.
Yeah, it's a passion. But anyway, I would also really be interested in learning or hearing somebody's insight that is getting into it, because I'm always like, for lack of a better term, dumbfounded when like I have patients that come in, and I say patients, but clients, whatever, bike fits, and they ask me, just like simple questions that if I think I pause and I think back, I'm like, oh yeah, I didn't know, like the difference between a chamois, short and chamois bib short. Like,
Yeah.
just all the simple. So it'd be interesting to hear somebody's new insight into like, hey, I'm getting into this, world of biking, and like, these are all my questions on nutrition and training and how should I be pedaling the bike? Should I have clips, not clips?
Yeah.
That'd be really interesting too.
Does anybody have any elements that you would like to? I mean, just say, hey, I'm gonna put you on the spot. Paul, you mentioned something earlier. You were like, I would like to write something about this. Your stories alone, dude. I mean, come on.
My
Yeah,
God,
well-
just put a voice recorder to this guy.
Yeah.
I think I
And
like-
I'll just transcribe it through. Yeah.
I think I came from a family of storytellers, and it's painfully obvious if you go for a bike ride with me. But
I love it. I love it. It's one of the
Great.
but parts.
that's
of it.
what I look for, and that's probably why I chased down like the story of my next quest is to get a hold of Laurent Fignon. When We Were Young, I think it was called. I think that's the title of it. But his story of training and cycling. I like those stories behind the scene, because we always see the glory part, but we don't like. I think What's Occurring is a great podcast, because you got Luke Rowe.
Yeah.
And they just like, what happened here? I don't even know who this dick was. And the next thing you know, this is, like Garright's talking about this guy, and he's like shoving me. Those inside stories that we never hear about. I mean, that's the stuff I love. I love to hear, how he was feeling at, Garright was like losing the Giro was very tough for him, very
man.
much so.
Yeah.
And I think he was one of the most gracious losers.
Ever.
Yeah.
Well, and I think
Ever.
also, I think Rookledge, when he lost to on the
Remco.
final, yeah.
Yep.
Oh
So-
yeah.
He did it. I mean, he walked right over there when he realized and just shook his hand, said,
Yeah.
congratulations, gave him a hug. So those are the things I like. I like those backstories, not the things of all about glory. Sometimes the best stories are. Alan Piper has tons of stories that
So to
we're
wrap
not-
up Paul's view, he wants long-winded stories.
Yeah, that's fine. Well, what I'm saying
1,000
is,
words.
there is
just the
nowhere.
beginning.
Yeah, there is no way we're going to outscoop people who are in Europe covering events.
Yeah, yeah,
There's
yeah.
no way we're going to be able to be first and foremost with a lot of this kind of stuff. Our interviews are going to be far better off as this format, as a podcast interview. However, I think there's stories to be told. I think there's a perspective of the sport. I think there's, as I always talk about, the characters of the sport that are so important. And I think that's something that we can offer. And I'd love to hear everybody out there who's listening to the show to tell us what you'd like to read. There's something in the written word, I think, that is still powerful and still very enjoyable. And I'm not saying it's going to be your holy Bible of cycling, but I'm saying it might be something that would kind of be enjoyable. So that's on the horizon. Last question, everybody. Final question. I'm only giving you the papers now because you have less than 30 seconds to tell me who is going to win the Criterium du Dauphiné. As my social media account calls it, the Criterium du Dolphin. Who's gonna be the Dolphin champion? And you have to answer to me in the next 10 seconds.
Who's
off
the
this
one
list.
champion?
Who's going to win this event? Now, because we're already underway, you know that, for example, Stefan Kreiswick is not going to win it because he's not there.
He's a human hanger anyway.
Yes,
Julian
he's a
Alaphilippe.
gigantic
Can you
hanger.
believe it?
You think Julian Alaphilippe is going to win? Sam says Julian Alaphilippe. I would love to know what you are on besides pervy pills. 'Cause you're on
Jonas Vingegaard.
Jonas Vingegaard.
He's not going to peak till the second week.
You don't think so, Paul?
Egan Bernal.
That
I would
sounded terrible.
love
That was my
to see
second.
that.
I would really
I
like
would
that.
love to see that.
I don't know what you're on besides pervy pills.
I think Adam Yates is going to win it.
Yeah, he's
Also-
fine. That's
Yeah.
Yeah,
There
you
we
know
go.
what I say?
Hey, you know the best thing about this?
Richard
We
Carapaz.
don't have
would
to
be
do any
good.
math.
No.
Yeah,
There are no
we're
states
all-
that count.
Thank God.
Thank God we have an
and-
accountant that listens.
Yeah, we did.
Yeah.
By the way, we tied, bitch. So you did not win. And
It's as good as a win.
by
And
the
we
way,
tied as losers.
You guys both have to drink a
whole liter.
No.
A
So I'm-
liter.
So
Old
I'm
English.
somewhere in the middle.
You, I guess so. Did we
take
tally
it.
your points?
I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know. You weren't here, so you know.
Oh no.
As your grandfather said.
Snooze you lose.
Yeah, I hated when he did that. It was my 40th birthday, and we made cherry ice cream, homemade, and I was like, "Where's all the ice cream?" And my father looks me in the eye and goes, "Snooze, you lose." And I was like,
He ate it all.
He was just sitting there for 2.5 hours. eating
"There
that
was my
shit.
final F." I finally got to use my final F.
All right.
And there we go. So, hey, thanks, everybody. Thanks, you guys, for being here.
you.
Thank you.
Thanks to the Burvey Pills for making us absolutely disgusting human beings. And we will catch you next week.